down in Baltimore, it was a unique culture. Um, and it was a lot of room for independent learning and independent cross training from different disciplines. And the thing that I like to bring into the classroom is, this all might burn down in 5 years. So whether or not we're fighting to maintain the current structure or building our own, there's a particular set of special skills you have in either arenas. Where you end up, independent or still a part of the public system, is, that's your acumen to end up there. But if you don't end up in either of those with a particular survival skill, then it's not going to matter if you have an independent or something sponsored by the state. Now, ultimately, it's always better to have your own. Uh, like nobody want to stay in their mama house forever. Like you always want to have yours if it's possible. But more importantly than that, I think you have to develop some core skills that would support either area. For example, we did see a lot of, I don't know, I don't even like to use this. What's that term they used to say for black? Not, I don't even use it no more. But whenever they wanted to describe black children who were in peril, they used to say, not
Oh, at risk.
at risk.
At
Yeah.
risk children.
When,
Yeah, at risk.
Yeah, that was the terminology to get all these prison for profits.
Right. So understand something. You could get your own school, but if the people driving it are more focused on grant money, it's still going to be the same setup.
Wow.
Now, what you want is people who are driven to turn out independent thinkers with a special skill set. You could do that in the public school, but you're going to fight to do that in a public school. That's not going to be something you can do without hindrance of other teachers feeling jealous or feeling that you're too connected to a student. But that's not going to dissipate and go away, sister, just because you got an independent environment. And I'm for independent, but that's a special kind of environment that must be built with those things in mind, because you could go to Ann Casey right now in Baltimore, and if your grant proposals sound fly enough, you could probably get some people on your board of directors. Like I can get Steve. He got credentials. I can get some people. I can get a few pastors. I can get some people with some heavyweight PhDs behind it. And if they're, as long as they're checking to make sure I'm doing the right thing with the money, guess what? I can do an independent school. But what's the heart of your teaching? Like, are you just wanting to be independent, or are you focusing on those things that would allow your student to be independent afterwards? So that's why I came up with a program called Boys to Men, named after the group. Originally, Steve might know some of this history. Originally, I'm from Boston, and I was a transplant here, came through Morgan. And, Bobby Brown and all those, that was a part of my upbringing. So Boys to Men was the proper way to spin it. Like, look, a maturity program. So anybody who's listening now, amongst our comrade, the fight that you have, because I want to say, I guess I'm being long with it, but I want to say this, that 80% white woman is not really an issue to us in the classroom until you want to do something outside of what the norm is. That's when they become an issue. On an everyday basis, I don't think about them. I don't even think about the fact that those 7 classrooms are white teachers. I don't even think about that, because I'm going to go right to my area and I'm going to be proficient in my area to the point where when I go into the teacher's lounge, if I even go in there anymore, they're going to be asking me, hey, your student Jamal was telling me something you did in class. That's the measurement that I'm going for. I'm trying to be the best teacher they ever had. So I ain't even worried about the whether there's a majority white girls. But I know when you start a program, this is when they become a hindrance. Because now you have to go through all of these checks and balances to do something outside of the norm for your kids. And that's where we see the most problems. When I wanted to take them to an all-black college field trip to the Atlanta field trip, magically we ain't had the budget, but we had the budget for basketball games, for football teams. We became one of the elite football powers in this whole Northeast corridor.
Yep.
But if I said, hey, can we take some interested students to Spelman and Morehouse, they'd say, oh, we don't have the budget. So they become a hindrance when you want to go outside of the norm. But every day, let me say something to you like this, Queen. They don't really bother black men on an everyday basis. They bother you when you're doing something outside of the norm that they don't understand or they can't be better than you at. Because black men are the best when you allow us to corral our group of people together and leave us alone. If you leave us alone, we can do what we're supposed to do. So they don't bother us on an everyday. They bother you when you want to try to challenge the budget. They bother you when you want to do an alternative learning program that's not in the prescribed curriculum. Or they bother you if you don't go through the channels, because keep in mind, the public school system is set up with a lot of people whose jobs are riding on advising you, or they might be auxiliary to your classroom. They might be giving you lesson plans. They might be team teaching. They might be doing all kinds of things that depend on you fitting into their group. So when you start doing this alternative stuff outside, that's when they start saying, well, wait a minute, that's not what you're supposed to do. But I don't want you to think that we're tortured on a daily basis, because they know who to play with and who not to play with from the rip.